Hi, this is Lauren Lester, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1Mike and the rest of the comic reading crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, IDW, Boom Studios, Zenoscope, and more, we have everything you want to read right here. Transformers comics? Yeah, we cover that. He-Man? Yeah, sure. DC superheroes like Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, and Batman Beyond? Yep, we have those too. How about TMNT from IDW and I Hate Fairyland from Image Comics? Yeah, we have all that here. Plus, so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So without any further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we are reading right now here inside the pull bag.
The things I do for Gotham.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 313. I am, of course, TFG1Mike, and joining me for a rare occasion here inside The Pull Bag is Steve Megatron. Hello, sir.
Yo.
Yo. And what could possibly bring Steve Megatron back to The Pull Bag? Well,
A good story.
Amazing story, but
I wasn't disagreeing. I had
No, I know. Trust me, I know.
It's rare that we get one of those in DC Comics or any of the big three anymore.
Okay, I will defend DC on one title because it's the only title I read that's ongoing. The Batman Beyond Rebirth series has been...
I haven't read any of that.
Okay,
so
well, it's been really, really good. The 2015 series that Dan Jurgens wrote, and then the new 2016 series, I say new 2016, 2 years after the fact, but basically the current Batman Beyond Rebirth comics that are going on, it's so good. Everyone should know by this time, 5 years of the pull bag, that I am like a super diehard Nightwing fanboy. Just am, always have been. But I didn't even know this was a thing. I did not know this story had happened. We're going to be talking about a 6-issue miniseries. Kyle Higgins returns to Nightwing. I was shocked. I was like, what is this? Why did I not know about this? I have to buy this in trade paperback right now, digitally on Comixology.com, because if I don't, I'll never be able to live with myself again. So basically, last year into this year, 2017-2018, Kyle Higgins returned to DC Comics and Nightwing for this 6-issue miniseries, Nightwing: The New Order. People were meant to walk, not fly. The year is 2040, and Dick Grayson has turned his back on his costume past. As commander of the federal paramilitary organization known as the Crusaders, he now enforces the legal ban on all metahuman activity by medically inhibiting or incarcerating anyone, hero or villain, who manifests superpowers of any kind. But when his son Jake suddenly reveals superhuman abilities that resist all efforts to suppress them, the man once known as Nightwing must return to the legacy he abandoned and seek help from the very people he has condemned. After joining forces with his ex-partners from the Titans, including his estranged wife and Jake's mother, Starfire, Dick sets out to free Jake from the Crusaders' high-tech prison. But the Pentagon has taken a special interest in the case, which means that the former Batwoman Kate Kane has made it her mission to crack the secret behind Jake's mysterious immunity, and what she discovers could mean the end for the Graysons, the Crusaders, and most of all, humanity. Oh my god. This story, when I read this, I'm not even going to lie, I can't lie about this, this is just too good. There are points in this that I actually teared up. Like, this is so good. Anyone that's read Kyle Higgins' run on New 52 Nightwing, all 5 volumes of it, if you read this, if you read that and you love that and you read this, you're going to love this too. I mean, this just... Because the trade came out in 2018, I've said this before, I'm not sure if I said it on air, I'm going to say this right now. Nightwing: The New Order is the best trade paperback release of 2018. There is no debating this. It's just law at that point. Because, like, wow. I could not believe that this was a series that actually had happened. Now, like I said, it's very rare that Steve Megatron comes on this show because, you know, he's too busy with all his tech stuff and all of that and other podcasts and whatever. So, getting Steve to come on here, it would have taken something special. And god damn it, if this is not something special.
I really wasn't sure what I was getting into when I agreed. And to be honest, I forgot I agreed. But I was like, I have to read this because I said I would. And then I was like, I just hope the story is good. And so going through it, I was actually surprised at how everything unfolded because not following the regular DC, because some of this stuff had to have transpired at some point, or even if it's an Elseworlds thing, it's still... I didn't know any of the backstory behind it going in,
right,
or any of the reasonings for anything.
Right.
But I think that they pulled it off pretty well for what they did, and I think that it was interesting seeing certain heroes depowered.
Yep.
And gaining their powers back, and discovering that the solution to the entire issue was in front of Grayson the entire time. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Bruce would have been rolling over in his grave if he saw what happened to the Batcave. Mm-hmm. I was like, no. And they're like, and Nightwing's like, yeah, they didn't know about the secret level, or the secret level, or the secret level on the bottom of the secret level. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of funny seeing him go down there, but
it's all okay. So before we start gushing even more, Kyle Higgins on writing, Trevor McCarthy is the artist, Dean White is the colorist, and Clayton Cowles is the letterer on this. Cover art and original series covers done by Trevor McCarthy. Anyone remember when we did Gates of Gotham way back when in the pull bag? This is basically Kyle and Trevor coming back together. I mean, obviously Gates of Gotham was Trevor McCarthy on art and covers and things like that. It was Kyle Higgins and Scott Snyder writing Gates of Gotham, but a lot of the time reading Gates of Gotham, I heard what Kyle's voice and what Kyle's vision was for that story with Dick Grayson being Batman. And the two of them finally reunite and give us this. And I was like, oh my god. This is amazing. My favorite parts of this, outside of the story and most of the art, is how they do the Nightwing logo. It's always all red inside the book, red and black. So mm-hmm. It's paying homage to the New 52 red and black. I mean, if you look at the front cover of the thing, there's the actual cover is Nightwing in blue and black, and then you open it up and the page that gives the creative, it's New 52 red and black Nightwing. Oh my god, like, this book does everything. This 6-issue miniseries is by far the best thing DC Comics has done in a very long time. And whether it's an Elseworld tale, whether it's a futuristic tale, the way I see this is existing almost in the same future as Batman Beyond, except it's slightly different because Dick had to basically save the world. And Kyle Higgins and Trevor McCarthy do everything that a DC fan, especially a DC Animated Universe fan, would want them to do. I mean, Lois Lane as a Lantern? Who would have seen that coming?
Yeah, yeah. So some of this stuff was taken kind of out of other aspects of the DC universe, and it makes me wonder which parts would have actually happened or were in the vein of happening because I'm so far removed from the series.
Right.
But I did find it interesting that you still had Jon Stewart floating around as Green Lantern helping.
Kate Kane.
Yeah, Kate Kane. And I was like, why is that name familiar? And I was like, and then they revealed who it was, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember who that is now.
Yeah.
But it was nice seeing Tim Drake.
Okay, so you're wondering what aspects, like where they've pulled from. I see in this pretty much, okay, even though Kate/Batwoman wasn't really in the DCAU at all, if ever, I don't think she ever showed up in there, but a majority of this is a combination of pulling from that continuity. It's pulling from whatever New 52 continuity, or even creating a story, you know, like you pull it. I know Batwoman's been around longer than New 52, obviously, when that happened, but like you pull that character into the story and give her and Dick some sort of whatever backstory kind of a thing. You know, some sort of unsettling like they were never friends, they were never this, that it's not like they were lovers or anything, because obviously, you know, whatever, but what Kyle has done in the writing in this, he has taken beat by beat through several parts of DC lore and has combined it all into one story. You're like, ooh, that's a reference to that, or oh, I know that from this, or whatever, and it all works wonderfully.
I found Mr. Freeze extremely creepy.
Yeah. Again,
and the fact he's still alive in a totally different capacity.
Yeah, and again, think of Spider Mr. Freeze from the animated series, when his body ended up becoming the spider. Like, that's what I think of when I see that kind of stuff. All of the voice cast, if this was to ever get animated, which I hope it will, Lauren Lester, obviously, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, Lois Lane, Dana Delaney, Jon Stewart, Phil Lamar. I mean, like, I heard Phil the whole time in my head, and I'm like, oh my god, I've talked to that guy.
Yeah, he's like, Nightwing.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
stand down.
Like, and Lex at the end, I'm like, oh my, you know, and Superman's a little up in the air, though, because the reason why I say that is because George Newbern had done Superman in Justice League.
But he could have still played him, because think about that episode where Vandal Savage,
right, the future, yeah,
where they thought they killed Superman, but they actually flung him into the future.
Yeah, Hereafter Hereafter 2-part. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, like maybe in the beginning, like in the first part of the trade, where it's, you know, Dick and Clark, and Dick has basically destroyed the world to save it or whatever, or destroyed all the superpowers, and you have the two, like, maybe I could hear Tim Daly at that point, but once you show up with a bearded Superman, I'm like, that's George Newbern all the way in my head. I love this so much. There's just, oh my god, folks. Trevor McCarthy's art is wonderful. Every bit of it is amazing. I mean, again, taking a piece out of, like, the Savage time from Justice League, when we went back to the future or whatever, and Batman was, you know, this Nazi regime thing with the not Justice Lord, you know what I'm talking about. You know, basically Gestapo type of uniform. That's what the Crusaders look like. The Justice Lords. Yeah, well, yes, but yeah, I mean, it's a cross between that and what happened in the Savage time, and the narration. The fact that Jake is narrating the story and come to the realization that he's narrating it to his newborn son at the end of the comic. Like, we're not gonna just. Well,
technically. Yeah, he's doing that, but he's recording it on a video blog.
Right, yeah. But yeah, so just everything that Kyle Higgins and Trevor McCarthy and the rest of the creative put into this, it's a love letter to Nightwing fans around the world. It really is. And This episode of the Pullbag, folks, is a prelude to Nightwing November. We are going to go, I don't know if it's going to be Steve and I, if it's going to be JT and I, it's going to be myself and somebody. We're going to go back to New 52, and we're going to go through all 5 trades, 1 trade per episode of the New 52 Kyle Higgins run, because I've been wanting to do that for years at this point. So Nightwing November coming later this year inside the Pullbag. There's a teaser for you. This comic, there wasn't much I didn't like about it. I understand Brady's, the little dude there, I understand his whole thing of, oh, I want to be top dog. Why do you get to be top dog kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I get that. The character is who the character is.
He was kind of weak. I was almost wondering if the... I can't remember her name. Liz. I was wondering if she was going to be Max from Batman Beyond. I was so hoping.
Yeah.
Because... Yeah.
If she had purple hair, I would say that would be Max, but she doesn't.
Yeah, but it was still interesting, and it was funny how she's like, "Yeah, you rubbed it in his face, didn't you?" Mm-hmm. And you know, she says, "I know I'm not an idiot. I know you went in there trying to rub it in his face and all. It's pretty disgusting, if you ask me." Mm-hmm. And you know, because he has the freaking blasted eye. Yeah, which is funny. It was kind of interesting also seeing Wally lose his powers.
Yeah, it was.
And then Lex restoring his powers as well as Superman's. And then the bomb goes off, igniting and letting everyone have superpowers.
Yep. So, more cool things that I love about this.
And the weird thing is they had Batman as the catalyst that set this whole thing in motion.
Of course. It always goes back to Batman. I mean, come on.
And then Dick became exactly what Bruce was.
Yep, pretty much. So when we get to... And we're not going issue by issue here, folks. I'm just looking at my notes, and these part of my notes was from issue 2. The scene with Alfred, Dick, and Jake, I just love the interaction that they have with each other.
I was surprised he was still alive.
Oh, you can't kill Alfred. Well, they do, but you're not supposed to. You know, and then like you said, Tim Drake, quote unquote, he would have had kittens over what happened to the Batcave. Oh my God, the Batcave, getting Kate's history, Batwoman and all. At the end of issue 3, when the Titans show up, and Jake's narration is like, yeah, Dad didn't want his old life back, but when his old life found him, ... And then under the next part of, like, next old wounds, oh, God, I'm like, Kyle, you... It just... Because Old Wounds and Over the Edge are my 2 favorite...
Old Wounds is the one where Dick decided not to work with Bruce anymore, right?
Right, and Over the Edge is where Batgirl died, and it's an alternate, you know, it's what would happen if Batgirl had died. But yes, Old Wounds is basically, there was a point where Batman went too far, and Robin's like, I'm out of here, I'm done. And it's, yeah, absolutely love that episode. Between Trevor's designs on Green Lantern, Flash, and the rest, wow, the art is killer. I just love the way that Trevor designs the characters. By the time you get to issue 4, you know, we get reveal of Lois Lane as the Blue Lantern. That was super interesting to see how all that played out. And then, because the Titans are essentially the resistance force to the Crusaders. You've been hiding out in Bloodhaven all this time? Well, it's the last place you would have looked. Like, wow. Again, Kyle pulling everything, every piece of Dick Grayson's history into this one story. And still telling an original story that isn't retreading anything that has happened before.
Yeah, it's always a little funny seeing when history comes into play, and that's one thing Kyle's been actually pretty good at is
Oh yeah.
Yanking back to the origins of the characters from the animated series, and so he makes a direct dig and tie into those, so that if you were familiar with it, you'll catch it. If not, it's just another quote, but it means something. It's not just let's just throw this in here because it sounds good.
Exactly. It's not just a flash in the pan reference of anything. It always ties back. Like, he even ties back to the end of his run in New 52. When Jake is like, Nightwing used to be all about, catching people when they fall. Ugh. I love this book. If this book doesn't win awards, then the comic industry is just...
To me, this is almost like the Dark Knight Returns for Batman, but this is Nightwing's version.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So, it's very fitting, and because Nightwing has generally gotten the shaft on a lot of side problems, he's had to reinvent so much.
Yep.
It kind of makes sense that he went this route.
Yep.
So it's a very fitting story.
I mean, after reading this and thinking about it now, and you saying it's like his version of Dark Knight Returns, it really is. And it makes me think of that old fan-made trailer entitled Grayson, where... You remember this? I remember showing this to you. I'll show it to you again off-air. But basically, this fan-made trailer titled Grayson was basically what you just said. Dark Knight Returns kind of a thing, but with Grayson at the forefront, and some sort of Batman mystery, like where is he, what happened, yada yada yada. Superman shows up at some point or another. And you can't tell a Nightwing story without having... You can, and they've done it before, but a story like this, the way this is done, the futuristic aspect, the superpower aspect versus, superpowered people versus regular people... You can't not have Nightwing and Superman in the same book because, hello, that's kind of where Nightwing got his start, was the whole Superman thing. So that trailer, I will link that in the post or something, and you guys can watch that if it's still... I think it should still be around. The only difference here is that Starfire is his estranged wife, and it's not Barbara, and I'm fine with that. I don't have an issue with that. I'm only pointing...
It gives good reason why his son has powers.
Has powers. Well, obviously, yeah, because obviously one of the parents would have had to have powers. I'm saying that more for the audience than for us, because it makes sense here that he and Barbara are not together, that he and Corey / Starfire are, because as you just said, the whole powers thing, but also I'm pointing that out because when people watch the Grayson trailer, Barbara's in that, obviously. So there's a slight difference there. I just can't say enough good things about this. This story makes my heart melt. It starts off as this futuristic thing, and as always, Kyle Higgins' voice with the character of Dick Grayson, Nightwing, and all the other characters always rings true. It's like a lesson in the Bat family without needing to have Batman be at the forefront. Somebody said to me recently about Dan DiDio always wanting to basically brush Nightwing off to the side. I forget if that was you or... I forget who said it to me.
It was Dan DiDio said that he basically wanted to kill off Nightwing.
Again, yeah.
It just remove him from the playing field.
Yeah, but you shouldn't do that, because technically, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about biology. I don't care about the League of Assassins or the League of Shadows or whatever. I don't give a crap that Damian is Bruce's biological son. Dick Grayson is Bruce Wayne's first son. That's just what it is. That's what it always will be.
And the fact that he took it so hard when Bruce was essentially murdered by Superman with the black kryptonite.
Yeah.
Shows you that he was just like, this is enough. This has gone on way too long. And he went out to essentially just wipe out the supers.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he basically did what Batman would have done in that situation, and that's to take them off the playing field.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. the whole thing with Alfred in issue 2, like, I had to look at the panels again because I read this like as soon as I found out about it a couple of months ago. At this point, when I first read this, I noticed it, but I didn't notice it. But I had to look again now, right before we started this episode, and reading this when Brady is like, "Put the bat down, old man," or "Drop the bat," or whatever. When the whole confrontation is happening, I'm like, "What bat? Alfred's not holding a batarang. What are you talking about?" Of course, it was a baseball bat. But my first thought was, oh my god, Alfred holding a batarang? That would have been awesome. And it's just so touching. It really, really is. The whole story.
Yeah.
I absolutely, like... This is a story I could read once a year. I love this so much. Just to have something, refreshing and interesting, and a Nightwing story that is from every piece of his history. Now, I am currently I'm trying to read through the first volume of the 2016 Nightwing Rebirth series, and that is good as well, but that's obviously within continuity and everything else. This stands alone to me. This is not really, like you said, it's an Elseworlds tale, it's a what if, it's a whatever, it's a thing. And I love that DC will do this every now and then with these miniseries, because that way you can just read one thing and not have to keep up with 80 years of continuity.
No. But yeah, I did think that more or less it is the Dark Knight Returns for the Nightwing character.
Oh, absolutely it is. Most definitely. What would you rate this 0 to 5? The whole thing.
I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5, just as a safe number. I wouldn't give it a perfect because there were a couple of elements I thought could have, like the thing with Max. I mean, I know Max would have been, technically around the same age or maybe a little bit younger, but still.
Right.
I think that would have been a nice nod, even if...
Yeah.
Because it's pretty close to the Batman Beyond era. I know that it's in the 2040s instead of... I think Batman Beyond's in, the 2060s or something?
No, Batman Beyond's right around that same time. 2040, 2050, somewhere around there. Yeah.
So anyways, I think that would have been a nice nod. But, I mean... And it would have been nice to see a few more of the original Justice League members to see kind of what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, other than just Superman and
GL and Flash.
Yeah. Well, Flash was Wally, but that was from the Titans. That wasn't...
Yeah, but...
Barry.
I know, but I'm thinking Justice League...
Or Wonder Woman, or...
Yeah, I'm thinking Justice League as in DCAU, and that was Wally.
Well, yeah, but being that they mentioned the Titans, I saw the other Flash for that instance. So... Yeah, I mean, it would have been kind of neat to see, or where Wonder Woman went, or so on. But it was overall, it was pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a solid story. It's a really cool story. There's no, for me, what usually brings a grade down on a comic, whatever comic it is, it's like if the transitions from page to page or from story point to story point aren't done well. Or if there's a moment in it where I just throw my hands up and I'm like, that's it, I'm done. They did that? No way. Just not even believable. This has none of that. And yes, I know, I'm a super fan and I don't care. Because if a story can make me cry multiple times after reading it 2 different times, then yeah, it's easily a 5 out of 5 for me. I can't not sugarcoat it and say it's less than that, because there's nothing in this. Like, every beat of this story basically made my heart race. Nightwing, The New Order, check it out, folks. I will put a link to it for the Comixology trade in the post. As I said earlier, I will put a link to the Grayson fan-made trailer if you guys want to check that out. What have you got going on over on Altered Geek, Future Imperfect, all that stuff?
Yeah, Future Imperfect's kind of on a rotational, like once or twice a month episode thing, and so's All Things Transformers. Actually thinking about doing one shortly, but Altered Geek, I'm still edging closer to episode 300. I think we're hitting episode 280 this week.
Cool.
So yeah, big number. So I got 20 more to go. So I might release multiple episodes so that I can hit 300 by the anniversary date. I'm also working on the new Geekcast Radio website, which I have yet to finish a couple of specific pages, and I'm still trying to tweak a particular issue I've been having from the get-go with something with the membership aspect. But overall, it's going to be pretty solid when it comes out.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, I am doing so much. I've got all of this. We've got Autobotly August. Like, between June, July, and August, this is the most work I've put into the pull bag since, like, year 3 at this point. Like, I've recorded episode 310 to now, and after this, I'll be recording 314, 315, and 316, and then the rest of Autobotly August. So the pull bag has essentially consumed me, and I'm having so much fun doing it. I hope everyone is enjoying listening to it and all of that. I'm also doing Mayhem Mike's, doing Powers of Grayskull with Optimus Solo. Still planning on 10 years of Tooncast next year. I can't believe this year marks 80 years since Superman debuted. Next year is 80 years since Batman debuted in 1939. Like, God, I'm old. So, folks, coming up inside the pull bag over the next 2 weeks. I was going to do this in one episode, but JT and I like to go through beat by beat, and we're going to have to do that. But our next 2 episodes, 314 and 315, is going to be Batman Beyond Rebirth, The Long Payback, Parts 1 and 2. This is basically, in total, it's issue 14 to 19, because that was the story art for The Long Payback. So that's what's happening there. And then episode 316, hopefully, will be WWE Volume 1 from Boom Studios. After that, we start Autobotly August. So, there is that. Follow us on Facebook, all that good stuff. You'll be able to hear that, all that info when Steve does the outro here in a few moments. Where can the people find you online, sir?
Well, they can find me on the Twitters at SCP21.
Absolutely. I am at TFG1Mike. You can follow at The Pullbag on Twitter. Always follow at Geekcast Radio on Twitter for all the other GCRN updates as well. Like, as of this recording, the video, the Batman Dance Party. Have you seen this thing yet?
No.
Oh my god. We will talk about this. We will talk about this on Altered Geek or something, because, oh my god. This is hilarious. It is super fun. So we're going to get the heck out of here. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time here inside the Pull Bag.
Now, I love s'mores as much as the next guy, but I'm fresh out of marshmallows. What do you say we call it a night?
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at thepullbag and at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.